All right, it's showtime. Glad to have you here on this Friday afternoon. I am joined here by Ryan from Neo Launch, as well as Ben should be here soon too. It's good to have their perspectives. They run an incredible team of just amazing people who have their thumbs and scales on the crypto market. So it's really good to have their opinion. I'm going to get into initial how the crypto market is doing. I want to talk a little bit about a few AI projects that have caught my eye. I want to get into some of the policies that are going to reshape how the United States, is on the global market. What the good things it is for crypto, and how many people were put into office that believe in crypto. There's a lot of really cool things that we're going to go over today. I hope this is a good education on what I think the next few years are going to look like for us in the crypto industry, as well as here in the United States. So, Ryan, without further ado, man, let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself for people that don't know you, or they do know you and they just want to remember who you are. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about who you are?
All right, perfect. Thank you, Crypto Sensei. And hey, everybody, my name is Ryan. For those of you who don't know, I'm the head of operations with a project called Neo Launch. Neo Launch essentially is an incubator and advisory project with a private investment syndicate arm, kind of similar to the Cryptonairz as well. It's very membership-based, with a very curated membership audience. What we typically focus on is advisory services and launch services for projects in the earlier stages of growth, not yet having TGE'd, but starting to work towards TGE, starting to build up their portfolio of investors and the like. But yeah, happy to be here. I don't think I've been on a Crypto Sensei podcast since the XRP Summit, maybe about a month or two ago. So yeah, happy to return, and hopefully we can talk about some fun topics today.
Welcome back, man. It's always good to have you. And Ben,
dude,
here. What's up, dude?
Listen, I was getting home, I was like, I got Sensei talk. We got to get to it. Stuck behind a school bus, emitting all kinds of paralinguistics. Like, I got somewhere to be, y'all. Come on now.
Those damn kids, dude.
Yeah, man, trust me. JP knows. JP
knows.
Sometimes you got the ether, man. It's telling you, like, come on, kids.
I can't believe you went there, man. Hey, guys. You know what? This is gonna be a good conversation. Well, Ben, you want to introduce yourself? Maybe people don't know who you are.
Sure.
After that intro, they might need to know. Now,
yeah. Okay. Cool. Founder, co-founder, CEO of Neo Launch. Ryan probably already got to the nitty gritty. We like to do cool shit with cool people and make cool things happen. Bottom line, we launch projects we believe in. We do incubation, acceleration, advisory. There's a lot of fluff in the space. We try to cut through that fluff and help people thrive. And that's it. That's really all there is to it.
I love it. All right. You said it all. All right. Let me share my screen here so we can see what's going on. And please whack me or throw something at me or yell at me if I don't move the screen over, because with StreamYard, you actually have to go to the next tab and then click the share button. And sometimes I forget and I get in trouble. So, man, what are you guys feeling about the market right now? I mean, is this, is it the Trump buzz? Is it, how can I put this? Is the road ahead over the next, 6 to 12, maybe even 18 months? Is it a golden parachute for us all? Are we all going to become stupidly rich because of all of these new pro crypto people coming in? Or is this just kind of the initial really, really excitement that people are just tossing money into the market, and this is all going to kind of simmer down here? I'd love to know what you guys think as far as what's actually happening right now.
Ryan, you're more polished. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I tend to think that, it's a combination of political events, but ultimately the effect of those political events on regulations and the implications there for the United States. Was looking through Twitter X this morning, and some of the chatter around the crypto markets being a little bit of a looser strain, regulatory speaking, on the SEC side in American markets, specifically noting one reporter, Eleanor Tourette, who, if a lot of people here are tuned into the XRP ecosystem, probably familiar with her, talking about speaking with a representative in Trump's camp about potential nominees for SEC chair. And no specific names were floated, but ultimately the underlying concept being that they want somebody who's absolutely pro-crypto in that position. So what I think we're seeing here is ultimately a reflection of a couple different things. One, it's optimism in the market, obviously, with Trump being elected into office. I wouldn't say that that's a non-factor. You could track it during election night as results were pouring in. just the effect that it had on Bitcoin and the greater crypto market. So that's a factor, but also in terms of regulatory implications, the implication or the emotional vibe is that American capital markets are going to start opening up to crypto more. And that's, I think, what's being reflected in price action and volume, especially. So that'll take place and probably reflect especially carry into 2025, I would assume. But what I'm looking forward to the most is seeing how much new capital enters the market as well. So if it's price action and if it's people that are just within Web3 who are maybe a little bit more optimistic about the market, or will we start to see additional parties who may not have been as involved in Web3 in the past or at all starting to get into this market as well because of the looser strain in terms of the legal eye that the United States will have on crypto. So looking forward to seeing that.
Money is falling from the skies right now in the crypto market. Look at this. Nero, first on Ethereum, is reached $1 billion market cap. I mean, this was the token that was kind of this was the meme Nero that was kind of the cabal one, right, on Ethereum, where there's some shadiness going on. But I thought this one kind of went out and died out. It's at $1 billion market cap. It's in the top 100. I don't know what's going on with the crypto market. It's insane. Crypto.com is up 50% just in the last 7 days. Look at these numbers, guys. It is truly, we are back, and it feels really good. And I think this goes to a little bit of why we are back, and it is because Trump was re-elected, like Ryan was just talking about, right? But what also was something that I think people should be paying attention to, and I went over this in the stream on Tuesday, was that actually, no, was it on Tuesday or was it Wednesday? The election was Tuesday. I must have talked about this on Wednesday. But I made a video about this. That's what it was. Sorry, guys, I'm getting my days mixed up here. It's been a long week. But there was over 250 candidates around the United States in the Senate and in Congress that were pro-crypto that were elected. So when I'm looking at these numbers, right, I think the crypto industry had a huge impact on the crypto market, more so than I think a lot of people are giving the crypto market credit for. And I think that if you take a look at Trump's plan, which was to get the crypto people on his side, I think he mastered that. He did that extremely well. Him and Elon both, I think, did a really good job as far as gaining ground. I've never seen this many young people come out and vote, right? And I think it speaks to a lot of these people were probably in crypto, and they just wanted to see a pro-crypto president take power. So I'm glad I'm going to have a live stream on the day that Gary Gensler gets fired. We are all going to bring champagne, and we are going to toast.
Bottles, y'all.
Yes.
What do you think, Ben? Are you going to come to that, man? Is it going to be fun?
Oh, I mean, listen, you got the join Cryptonairz.com 30-day free trial thing on the bottom of the screen. Go do that, because it's going to be a party. I'm telling you right now.
We actually need to remove that. We're actually getting rid of the 30-day free trial. Now that the crypto market's back and we have just a lot of things happening inside of the community, we're just gonna take that. I think we're gonna go to like a 5-day or something like that, because hey, when people start coming back to the market, that's our best time to start charging what we need to be charging. All right, let's take a look at the so no, it's not just the crypto market, right? But I think over $1 trillion went into the stock market as well. So people all around the world are just going ham right now on these international markets, and so it's really good to see. We did have Solana breaking $200 once again. Love to see Solana over $200. I think Solana is probably heading to year 4 and $500 this cycle. I wouldn't be shocked if it actually reaches a higher point. One of the projects that I wanted to bring up with you guys is I was in a space with the great lady trader. I was going to say the late great lady trader, and I was like, oh no, that means all right.
Still great in our eyes.
All right, lady trader is still alive. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I was in a space with her, and she is she works with Ledger AI, and this is a project that I had brought up inside of Cryptonairz over a month ago. And a few things were said in this space, and I actually wanted to play some of this for you because in crypto, I have one of the coolest jobs I would say on the planet. You get to engage and speak with people that are building out the future of technology, and some of the stuff people are working on is just truly incredible and mind-boggling, and it really kind of makes you understand that technology can make us safer as well as it can make our lives easier. But one of these use cases, let me play this for you. It has to do with schools and preventing mass casualty event in schools. And this is just one of the areas that Ledger AI is targeting. And so let me just play this real quick and then we'll move on.
Sensei, I want to make sure that I'm hearing it, brother.
Are you not hearing it?
No.
No, can hear it on my end.
Can you hear that?
Yes.
Oh, you know what it was? I wasn't sharing the tab. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you for hitting me.
It's someone that can look at things from both sides of the months because of this. So it's
me as an advisor, that would be
use cases here.
Oh, here we go.
Is
sorry
like,
about
with
that.
Like very prestigious high school systems in this area, and we're gonna have like all our devices like pretty much in every classroom. And the reason that's important is that Aura can ingest like the audio data, understand certain things, create the context. But, for the most extreme, version of like this, what happens if there's like a school shooting? Aura can like detect exactly like that noise and contact the police, and then also kind of tell every single like classroom teacher where to go, calm down, just get out of the door, go like 3 doors right. And because like she'll always have like awareness of that kind of thing. And then, like it could save our kids' lives. Like it really will, and then on top of that, anybody else that's part of the Aura network that's nearby will be like, all right, school shooting, one high school that's like a mile away from you, like they'll know to like just evacuate right away.
All right, so I mean, this is just one of the use cases that these guys are working on, and I just think it's really cool. We lived through. If you lived in America in the past, decade, there's been a handful of really high-profile shootings in the U.S., and I don't think there's really become a solution to prevent massive loss of life when this does happen. And it's just really kind of heartfelt that these people are working on a use case that does, in fact, try to help out with this. And then so their idea, it just, I'm not going to play this whole thing, but their idea was to have the police get involved as well with Aura. And they're going to try to make this as cheap as possible where schools can actually afford this technology. And so police would then be told, where the shooting sounds were. This can be connected into video cameras, audio, recording cameras as well. And police would have a better, clear picture of when they get to the scene, what is going on. And the idea around this is to prevent things like this from happening. And there's all kinds of other AI companies working on things like this, but I just thought this was a really cool use case. And so I did want to just put this in front of you guys again. If you missed this, it is Ledger AI. Let me pull this up here on CoinMarketCap. So if you want to pull it up here, it is 1,183. Let me just show you this here. So it had a run up yesterday. This is kind of when people, were listening to them talk about their use cases and stuff, and it had a little bit of a sell-off today. But I do want you to keep this in mind. This market cap is only around, I think it's like, I don't think this is quite accurate. CoinMarketCap sometimes has a little bit off. I think this market cap is closer to 10 million, but it's still, I think it's a very low cap AI project. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. It was, of course, the AI narrative in crypto is one of the hottest narratives. Ben, I know you and Ryan, you guys talk to a lot of different AI projects. Are you guys personally invested in AI, the AI narrative? And if so, what are some of those projects that kind of speak to you guys and where you think you can make money in this cycle?
No, I'm not.
You're not invested in AI?
Yeah, and let's talk about it too. Please feel free to stop me at any point because I was taking some notes when I was listening to that. And I think some of the beauty of having discourse and dialogue like this is I I'll just say it. There's a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of ambiguity. And I don't want to trash on anyone in this dialogue and what I'm about to say. So please don't take it the wrong way. The overarching concept and narrative that I'm going to be speaking to is, don't be sold on words, be sold on actions, most specifically within the realm of AI. So, I first of all, I really like what OpenLedger was talking about, or AI Ledger. I'm not familiar with the project. I think there's some moral and ethical concerns there around, you're putting AI in every school, Big Brother is watching. That's going to be a huge entry barrier. Also, people that don't know me, I'm a former law enforcement officer. There is zero chance in hell that is going to be integrated within law enforcement systems. There, you are strapped to the core with legal and compliance and privacy laws. There's just not going to be any, unless they do a sandbox integration in a controlled environment with an AI developer on staff within the government. It's just not going to happen. Now, I do think that it's a tremendously positive message, and I think that we need to have people, visionaries, that are exploring what does this implementation look like, right? And so I'm not saying it's a total turnoff. I'm saying that there are a lot of sequential steps that need to be taken to then implement said vision. Now, that said, I'd really like to talk with that project, because I think there are a lot of interesting avenues they can go with awareness and preparedness. Integration within public services systems it's not feasible. It's not realistic. Now, speaking to why I'm not personally invested in AI tokens right now, it's because you can wrap chat GPT around fancy branding and call it a new project. And Sensei, to be frank with you, we see this with the top tier VCs in the space right now. We see it with the smartest people in Web3. And the reality is, no one fucking knows how to prove a proprietary sandbox AI technology, period. I could tell you I have a proprietary AI solution. I could tell you I'm solving for the pain points that ChatGPT does, utilizing innovative blockchain technologies as an intermediary to improve and enhance the Web3 and crypto utilization of the underlying token. No one knows what the fuck that means. Man, and when you ask questions, people can't answer it. And when you ask VCs, how are you proving it? There's no response besides it's hot. So there's two schools of thought here, brother. The reality is school thought number one, I'm following trends. AI is hot, so clearly there's going to be a hotbed and opportunity there. Great. You want to follow the trend, there's opportunity. You want to follow the technical aspects and whether or not these projects are going to be able to do half of what the fuck they say they're going to do. The reality is, I'm saying there's probably less than 5% of these AI projects that are even going to have a modicum of a clue of understanding what they're doing, how to scale, how to implement, or how to answer the question, how can you prove that this is proprietary, that you own it, and that this is your technology? Because guess what? When people start to get really smart and licensing and copyright infringement comes to the woodwork of utilizing this in a box solution with ChatGPT as the underlying component, things are going to get spicy real quick, and you better be prepared.
So what are you investing in then, man? I mean, you're in crypto full time, right? Your main business is investing or helping people get opportunities into crypto projects. So if it's not AI, where are you investing?
Yeah, well, I don't want to detract away from Ryan too much. I want to make sure he's able to talk about AI at some juncture.
All right.
But I will say, I'll just do a little sprinkle and then we can revisit it. I really like RWAs. I really like gaming projects, not necessarily because they're super hype and have that 1000x potential, but because the real applicability of what they're building ties into adoption use case moving forward. And so when we talk, obviously, Yak DAO is a project that we helped launch, and they're going through a relaunch soon, but that's enabling people at the very small scale, regardless of how much money you have, to get involved and engaged with property utilization and ownership of estates that traditionally are reserved for people of the top 1% of the top 1%. So that's why I invest in the projects that I think have a true opportunity to fundamentally and categorically improve how people life. I mean, there's not really a fancy way of saying it, but how they life, whether that be investing or tokenization of property or gaming microtransactions with gaming, which I know is scary. But if I spend 1,000 hours in a video game, I want to be able to own 1,000 hours worth of digital assets inside video game and monetize it. So digressing, Ryan, we'll kick it back to you on AI. You probably have some different thoughts than me.
Honestly, no, I'm pretty in alignment with what you just said. The only thing that I'll maybe add or piggyback is that, Sensei, you're right. We do have exposure to a lot of different AI projects that come through the pipeline, whether they're projects that have recently launched or looking for future launches. And the thing that we most probably commonly see when it comes to AI, like Ben was saying, is the ability to prove the use case of the AI and prove its proprietary, use cases, because of that notion of, oh, we're just going to basically wrap ChatGPT in a new skin and call it something new. So it's really interesting for us when we bring a project through our underwriting process and we do that initial review. Is AI, I would probably say, has the highest frequency of rejection amongst projects that we actually bring in and review, because there's no data, case studies that really apply and can show the true AI technologies behind the team that's building it. Rather, it's just implementation of ChatGPT with a new wrapper. When that's something that we notice, and that's something that's very commonly brought to us, if it's very clear that it's not something that's being centrally developed by this team and is actually proprietary, it's usually something that we end up passing over. So that's probably the one thing that I would add on to what Ben was talking about. Me personally, I'm also not an AI investor as much. If it's a supplementary part of the ecosystem, but maybe not the highlight of the ecosystem, then it's something I would take a look at a little bit more closely. But for me, and I mentioned this during our XRP summit, I've always been an infrastructure guy, always been more of a DeFi person as well. So I like my XRP, I like my Cosmos ecosystem, even if it's something that apparently everybody else is starting to shit on a little bit more. But that's always kind of what I've geared my eye towards, with AI not necessarily as the main highlight of the ecosystem, but rather something that can provide much more supplementary support and ultimately boost the core value of the project. So really, it's just about how it's handled in my eyes.
So what are you guys mainly invested in? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana? I mean, where's most of your money invested in the crypto market, if you don't mind me asking?
I think all of the above for me, man. I mean, I too am big into Cosmos. I've been holding them since the beginning, but for me, Bitcoin, until we start to see a lot of movement, I have a lot of capital in Bitcoin because, quite frankly, it's the mover, right? And we recognize this. If you live through multiple cycles, Bitcoin's going to go first. Then you realize your gains of Bitcoin and trickle down to altcoins, Ethereum being one, Solana, your avalanches. So that's generally my portfolio. I try to take I leave like 5-10% of my portfolio to be able to spread across higher risk projects. I do love projects right now that are really utilizing liquidity as opportunities to drive revenue. So launch pool mechanisms with an API intermediary to be able to earn tokens without actually investing or contributing. I'm bullish on that ideology. So there's a project called Perk, which is going live soon, that kind of mirrors that effect. But to be frank with you, it should be, until we start to see tremendous amount of movement, and we're starting to see it now. I mean, everyone sees it with Trump. Whereas obviously when we replace Gary Gensler, we're going to take out the Champagne and really make some cool things happen there as well, and that's going to be a spike. But I'm a little bit more conservative. I mean, trust me, everyone has to gain a lot and then fucking lose a lot to realize that sound investing in Web3 means not always doing the sexy things, but staying realistic with the spread of your portfolio to make sure you're hedged against the risk that inevitably resides within Web3.
I love that, man. I have to admit that, and we talk about this often in these Sensei chats, that, we are still in a very speculation market. Not all of these projects are even going to come close to making it, let alone make it even through the bear market that's coming. And so, you need to, pick your projects wisely. Obviously, going with something a little bit more secure, as in your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, Solana. Obviously, those three I don't think are going anywhere anytime soon. Just what I'm hearing from both of you is caution, and just don't always follow the rainbow hype. Stick to the fundamentals, and you should be okay. Is that kind of? Did I take everything that you said and just put it down into one or two sentences there? Is that okay?
For me, bingo. Yes.
All right.
I've always been a little bit more on the conservative side with some things as well. Very small portion of portfolio to, the fun things in life, your meme projects, your GameFi projects, things like that. But for me, for the most part, it's all about what's safe, what's going to be the most sustainable in the long term. So I'm not as fun in that element of my approach, but I usually go with historical trends of blue chips.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, I went crazy last bull market. I mean, last market you could earn 6+ figures in 24 hours and lose it the next 24 hours. A very common day. And honestly, it's kind of scary when you take a step back and you're like, oh shit, I just lost 150K, but it's crypto. So, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. And then you're like, see, I had nothing to worry about because we're up 240K today. But one thing that I've adopted, some people may or may not consider it wise. It's not sexy. To Ryan's approach, I mean, everyone wants to see the categoric generational wealth, accumulating generational wealth, but I have to live by the 10-5 rule. A 10% appreciation of portfolio is a 5% reduction of the position. So realize 5% every 10% you gain. It keeps you in check. It builds up your wealth, and it also allows you to be able to reinvest with money that is no longer yours. That wasn't yours to begin with. And so I think, the reality is stay realistic, stay safe, protect what you have. And obviously this is basic stuff, but don't invest stuff that you can't afford to lose, right? I think a lot of people make that mistake when they're first getting into Web3.
Well said, Ben. Well said. All right, let's keep going here. We're going to listen to a little bit of, what's going on as far as Bitcoin and its potential. It is being talked about as possibly a treasury reserve asset. I think it was Senator Cynthia Lummis put together a bill that's in Congress that is talking about making Bitcoin as a reserve asset. This is something like the U.S. has reserves in, oil and some types of minerals and money types of different reserves, but then making a Bitcoin reserves or a stockpile of Bitcoin. I think the U.S. has somewhere in the realm of about $15 billion worth of Bitcoin currently. And instead of selling that, creating a strategic reserve, and that might spur more countries to want to do the same. And this could increase the value of Bitcoin over time. Let me play this.
Join us now on the markets. Tom Lee, head of research at Fundstrat Global Advisors, chief investment officer at Fundstrat Capital. And the list goes on and on. Annie's a CNBC contributor. First post-election appearance that we've had. You knew Trump was going to win.
Well,
not many people did.
Yes, that's.
I'll give you credit. Are you saying you didn't? Maybe you didn't say it in so many words, but you said it.
Yes, I'd say that we were placing a lot more weight on what the betting markets were pointing to, and so and we. When we look at all the deltas,
and you saw it in the Trump trade,
yes.
And you saw it in Bitcoin,
correct,
and you saw it in sectors of the market that would benefit from.
That's right.
Presumably, but who knows from a Trump presidency? So 1,500 points a meet out of the gate. More to come, or are we're already there?
I think we need to respect this move. I mean, there was a tremendous rally post-election, and it continued yesterday. I think it really does reflect a lot of money was taken out of the market because of the uncertainty around the election. And now we know that because of policy changes and animal spirits, that this is really going to benefit things like Bitcoin and small caps and regional banks and financials. So I do think there's still a lot of upside. I mean, small caps trade at 10 times median forward earnings. I mean, that's a.
So what do you think that should be? 12 times? And what's the opportunity set in your mind?
Well, since 1987, small caps traded on a median PE basis at a premium to the S&P. The S&P is at 17 times. So I think small caps could, in the next couple years, outperform by more than 100%.
And what do you think about some of the macro issues that I think create a different level of uncertainty? We keep talking about the bond market and what that might be saying, what you think is happening with gold. Are the bond vigilantes going to be this governor on whatever you think is going to happen in Washington?
As James Carville famously said, the bond market everyone's scared of the bond market. So that is something we need to watch. But we've had plenty of periods where stocks have risen with bonds rising. And I kind of agree with Powell's assessment that yields have gone up not because of inflation, but because there's sort of a change in growth expectations.
All right. A lot of stuff in here. This is what I was talking about here. Senator Cynthia Lummis, we are going to build a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So this is really good for Bitcoin. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF is officially bigger than gold ETF with $33.2 billion in assets in just 10 months. The growth I mean, what do you think, Ben? I mean, the growth here is just astronomical compared to how long it took gold to get to the same place. Is Bitcoin just an asset unlike any other asset that the world has ever seen, or is it just a flurry of fuzzy feelings, and is Bitcoin gonna realistically come back down in price when we get into the bear? Like, where does this all settle? Where when the dust settles?
Yeah, I think it's quite an interesting question that I think we could probably talk for days on, to be frank, with a strategy session and a masterclass and sell it for $29.99 or something like that. I'm kidding. Digressing. What I do think is if we're to deconstruct that, I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. It's deflationary. It's commoditized, similar to gold. It's a hedge against inflation. I do think if I'm going to be a little doomy and gloomy, I do think that the inflation issues on the macroeconomic scale is going to continue to be a plague. I think people are optimistic that Trump is going to lead us into the Holy Land, which I do think if we're looking at the two candidates, listen, the economy is probably going to be a little better off with the Trumpster campaign and Trumpster administration comparison to Kamala, who's going to tax everyone on unrealized gains. And that's another discussion, which would have been super scary, but we'll put that on the back burner. Coming full circle, I think the strategic Bitcoin reserves would be valuable for the United States and realistically anyone that gives a shit about managing their portfolio and hedging against inflation, because I think inflation's here to stay. It's going to continue to be just a really bubble-esque type of economy on the macroeconomic scale. And I don't have the fancy numbers to be able to throw at you. Besides, all the economists worth listening to are saying there's no way we can continue to look at the macroeconomic indicators around inflation and house prices and CPI. And so Bitcoin really is, we see it in parallel on the same graph as gold. First of all, can we talk about how cool that is, that now we are standardizing being able to talk about Bitcoin being a commoditized asset that runs in parallel and adverse correlation with inflation on the same graph as gold? Like, that would have been such a foreign concept even 4 years ago, guys. So we're talking about adoption. People are recognizing that not only does it have speculative value, but it has hedged value against macroeconomic environments. But also, listen, Ukraine-Russian war, we saw real-world applications of decentralized borderless payment structures, quite literally empowering people to be able to hurt a little bit less because they still have access to funds that they can go to another country, escape the war zone, cash out, utilize these assets, and be able to live. And so, going on a tangent, here to stay. Doom and gloom, we're going to start to see some economic conditions that I don't think are going to be favorable. And I do think that the crypto market led by Bitcoin is going to have this tremendous amount of resiliency against those conditions.
So hold on. So I think you said two different things, or maybe I misunderstood the two things that you said. I thought you had originally started by saying that when you're looking at the economic future of the U.S., Trump's plan was better than Kamala's plan, but then there's going to be turbulence in the future. So can you kind of talk to me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it would have been a lot shittier with Kamala. How about that?
There you go.
It's gonna suck regardless. I'm here for the hopium, brother. I want to be that guy that gets people excited. Prove me wrong. But what I can say, unequivocally, unquestionably, all the fancy fluffy words, is that we would have been a lot worse off with Kamala Harris's economic strategy.
All right. I you know what, and I know this is not an unpopular opinion, but I disagree with you, man. I think Trump's economic plans could be disastrous for the United States, but all good. Listen, I'll let Andrew Ross Sorkin explain a few different things of what's going on here and Trump's economic plan, because I think it's important, right, to know where we are going over the next 4 years and what policies that are going to be enacted and what they might do to the actual economy. So let me play this and then we'll talk about it.
So Andrew, it looks like the markets continue to like the election of Donald Trump.
Yes, and I think there's an important but here. So I think that if you are on Wall Street, you think you like this to some degree. I think if you're a CEO of a corporation today, you are both trying to be optimistic, but also a little bit anxious. But here's the thing to watch. The bond market. We mentioned it yesterday, and I said there was an opportunity potentially that the bond market is the governor on whatever happens in politics, especially if you think there really is a red wave and the House goes red. And I want to read you, this is Barron's yesterday, but I think it's important. The bond market is sending a warning in the wake of Donald Trump's election victory on Tuesday. Investors may have been looking ahead to lower interest rates now that the Federal Reserve has started cutting. No more. The new message yields are sending, we're heading back for a higher for longer world of interest rates. The question is just how high. And you've already started to see what's called the 10-year note move higher. That is the benchmark for which we're going to have our mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are higher. We talked about the prospect of higher interest rates in this country and higher inflation. Effectively, that's what this is really about, higher inflation. And this is a major component part of that. And so I think while we can look at the stock market, and that is a signal of optimism, I don't want to discount that at all. There's this other side of the market that's saying, watch out, this may become a little bit more complicated.
Andrew, the bond market is important. Why?
The bond market is important because these are the folks who effectively are lending the U.S., all of us, money, right? And we are saying, those folks are saying, we're going to lend you money at X rate because we think you can pay it back. The day we think that you can't pay it back, we'll continue to lend you money, but we're going to charge you more for that, which means you're going to get less on the other end. And those rates set our mortgage rates, they set our credit card rates and the like. So if we think that there's going to be inflation, that is a problem. And we've talked about the potential of the tariffs and everything else, and whether the other side of the deregulatory efforts that President-elect Trump says he's going to put in place, will that offset inflation? Maybe, maybe not. I think the bond market is saying maybe not.
So the Fed's going to cut rates today.
Today.
So that's coming.
That is coming. A quarter point likely today, 2 p.m.
But you're suggesting here is that going forward, that's less of a sure thing because of the unknown implications of what Trump's going to bring. Because as we've all learned from you over the years, the one thing the markets don't like is uncertainty. He's bringing uncertainty.
He's bringing uncertainty, but I think even more than that, there's just the question of, look, if you have lower taxes for longer, look, he wants to put that tax package from 17 and make that permanent. That may have an inflationary effect. He also will be adding some other giveaways on the tax program. That could also have an inflationary effect. The tariffs could have, all of those things make it more complicated. So it's so interesting that you have this dynamic where the stock market is moving higher and the bond market is saying, I'm a little anxious.
So as predicted, CEOs falling over themselves to congratulate publicly Donald Trump on his election.
All right, so we don't need to play the rest of that. I did pull up some information that I think we should just talk about here too, because we kind of have an idea of what Elon and Trump have said in the past about what they are looking to do. And in the US, cutting $2 trillion out of the federal budget, I just wanted to go over some of the things that may be disappearing, right? And I think this is something that we should just be considering, since they did say that they are going to do these types of things. Obviously, follow through, we don't know if it's going to happen, but cutting $2 trillion out of the budget, these are some of the things that might go along with that. So, disciplinary spending, which includes funding for various government agencies and programs outside of the mandatory spending, like Social Security and Medicare. It's also a target for budget reductions. Proposals from Republican factions suggest deep cuts in areas such as education, environmental protection, and public health services. Ben, earlier you were talking about the federal government in education. Trump's plan is to eliminate the Department of Education. So that might not be an issue in the future. You also have social programs that we did talk about, like food stamps and that type of assistance that could go away. Federal workforce. Now, this is something that I wasn't even considering, but I think if you work for the federal government and they're cutting $2 trillion off of a $5 trillion budget, you might be looking at either less hours or maybe you're looking for a new job. But to achieve substantial budget cuts without torching popular programs like Social Security and Medicaid, there would need to be drastic reductions in the federal workforce. Estimates indicate that the balance of the budget would require cutting up to 70% of non-defense disciplinary spending, which would result in widespread layoffs across various federal agencies. You're also talking about tax cuts. Trump, his plan is to continue tax cuts for very wealthy people, and where they're going to see a much larger deductions And then if somebody in the middle class, as well as healthcare spending, and then of course, state budgets are going to have less money. It's because if the federal government is not giving states as much money to fix roads, bridges, and those types of things, that could be an issue too. You're not concerned about any of this stuff, Ben, in over the next few
I
months?
absolutely am. Yeah. So I don't want to give the perception that I am a Trump supporter. I am a centrist.
Oh, good.
But I also think, to revisit something that was said on the video about Trump causing uncertainty because of policy on tariffs, tax cuts, trying to push for lower interest rates. I categorically believe that the biggest form of uncertainty that anyone could introduce into this economy is unrealized gain taxing. So if we're putting the two candidates on the same pedestal and we're saying which of these two for the next 4 years has the better short-term economic policy to perceivedly keep the economy afloat, it's Donald Trump. The question that I think I probably don't have the answer to, I have my own opinions to, that is important is which candidate has the better longer-term sustainable economic plan, right? So going back to your question, though, Sensei, am I concerned about these? Absolutely. Trump traditionally has a Reaganomics approach. How can we cater to large corporations through the reduction of interest rates? How do we make lending and leveraging debt to be significantly more effective for larger corporations? And there's nothing wrong with that. But when we start to truly cut into the livelihood of middle-class America through I don't think we'll ever see 70% federal government layoffs. I think that's probably there's some sensationalism imbued within this, and I personally don't believe 90% of what I read online anymore. I just think it's out of place. I think that he is generally trying to blend the lines of how can we make it a more lucrative environment for corporations while simultaneously trying to get our budget, our federal debt deficit in check. And sometimes those aren't always mutually exclusive. So do I agree with reducing education? Absolutely fucking not. Do I think that some social welfare programs and social programs could be more effective being privatized? E.g., can capitalistic mechanisms be more effectively use capital? Absolutely. Dude, local government right here, we had someone put in a proposition to build a school administration building, $11 million. $11 million. A Costco 5 times the size got a bid for $800,000. So we want to talk about what the real issue, it's federal and local government waste and inefficiency. And so if we can solve for that, then we don't need to rely on all these corporations. But that's just me being an idealist. Ryan, I've been talking for a long fucking time, brother. I'm going to pass the mic to you.
He needs help. He needs help, Ryan.
No, I feel comfortable, man. I just don't want to talk the whole time.
I got you. Ryan, what do you think about all this stuff, man? Like, do these policies worry you, or are we going to be okay?
Yeah, there's definitely a few policies that worry me. And, to Ben's credit, he kind of took the one that I wanted to talk about, which was reducing education. And there's been a lot of commentary back and forth the last couple of days about the notion of educated versus uneducated voter systems. So now, kind of coinciding with that, reducing education spending, that just it's never going to fly for me. And you look at the way that the United States has trailed in education compared to countries like China, countries like Japan over the last 5 years, last 10 years, last 20 years, it's pretty clear that education in America has gone down the drain almost. I think we're ranking closer to 20th, maybe 25th in education over the last 20 years. So no, that's never a trend that I can really support. Yeah. But as far as the more macro tax plan, the idea of taxing unrealized capital gains, which was obviously one of the talking points in Kamala Harris's plan, it wasn't the main one, but a talking point, is that created a lot of skittish investor syndrome at the highest levels. There were, executives, CEOs, businesses that maybe wanted to get out of the market at that time. So you saw a lot of negative trading. You saw a lot of sideways trading just because there was that uncertainty. They didn't know. But with Trump's election, you see markets behaving positively. And, for how long that lasts, who knows? But you see it behaving positively in a large part because now they have a little bit of certainty in regards to unrealized capital gains taxes. They know that that's not going to be something that's in Trump's plan. They know he's more for tax cuts for the wealthiest people and not taxing unrealized gains. So much more of those larger funds, those larger individual portfolios are just more comfortable with being in the market right now because they don't have that short-term uncertainty about that unrealized tax. So listen, if it maintains long-term, if this kind of upward trajectory that stocks, that bonds, that crypto have right now, if it maintains long-term, who really knows? It depends on the action around actual tax plans that maybe take place in 2025 or 2026. But now there's just that fear of unrealized capital gains and not knowing possible timelines on when that could have been implemented. Now all of a sudden that fear is gone, so you see people re-entering the market pretty quickly. So that's the only thing that I would add outside of what Ben has talked about. For the large part, I agree with a lot of what he's saying, but I would just echo the fact that now there's a little bit more, I guess, emotional positivity in the market. I just don't know how long that actually stays intact.
Right.
What do you? Yeah,
just to piggyback really quick, I do think that, listen, there's no perfect candidate. Everyone knows that this election just sucked, regardless of where you sit. I mean, it just sucked. I'm a Yang ganger personally. I'll put it out there. I think there's a tremendous amount of impact when we look at empowering people. We're going to send you $2,000 a month. It's designed to stimulate local economies. You choose how to spend the money. It's great because it's redistribution of funds. Digressing. It's a whole nother show. That said, we do know what Trump's going to do. We know that Trump's plans, in alignment with how Elon Musk talks, is to by theory cater to people that are a little wealthier, cater to people that have higher education with financial. Yeah, well,
a little wealthier.
Well, think about it like this too, man. Like they make it a more conducive debt leverage environment. So people that know how to utilize debt, leverage it to then continue to compound opportunities, will thrive and succeed under a Trump administration. Now, I also think that creates an unfortunate reality that it will perpetuate the continued gap of wealth inequality. And I was a Bernie Sanders supporter in 2016. I've been all over the fucking political spectrum. But the reality is that we are going to see an increase in wealth inequality with Donald Trump.
Elon Musk's own word says Trump's economic plans is going to cause temporary hardship on people, right? This is and the reason we're talking about all this stuff, and I know it doesn't have anything to do directly with crypto, but the economy, the how good the US economy is doing is going to matter, because if people don't have money to invest in the stock market or the crypto market, we're not going to have really good markets, right? So that's all part of it. So I think stimulus is coming, right? But I don't one of the things that I think Trump is making a mistake on, and we can argue back and forth about this stuff, but going and kicking out America's workforce is probably it could be catastrophic for the labor market and for how expensive things are, and if groceries are actually going to get to your table, right? Like if you don't have anybody to help build things or collect things, around the United States, what does that do for the cost of those goods that you're trying to buy? There's going to be less of them, right? And so the out of all the policies that are being thrown out there, I think this one scares me the most, right? Because it's not only going to cost the United States 88 billion to 315 billion annually, which is every year. It could also have it also could be worse than the 2008 financial crisis twice over, right? Because you're literally now you're putting out this much money per year, and then you're not getting this additional 30 to $50 billion a year in federal taxes. That's going to affect states. That's going to affect the federal government. Do you guys have any thoughts about how this could negatively impact all markets in over the next few years?
Ryan, you want to start this time?
Yeah, the one thing that I'll say, and then I'll probably kick it over to Ben after this, is there's been a lot of talk about mass deportations, and whether that's undocumented workers or people who were grandfathered in because they were born in the United States, but maybe their parents, their parents weren't United States native. They were born in the U.S. So there's been a lot of conversation around mass deportation and the way that that's ultimately going to affect the markets in terms of potential inflation and costs for businesses is, and I see it in point one here, so just kind of piggyback on that, is that's really going to have an impact on construction and farmers. So farmers that provide corn, that provide fruits, that provide vegetables, that provide our food sources, they are probably going to be pretty heavily impacted with any kind of mass deportation because that gets rid of a lot of their labor force. So when Elon says that there might be some temporary struggles in the economy, maybe around inflation, maybe around higher costs, I believe that, because if you get rid of a lot of the labor force who's here illegally or in an undocumented fashion, then naturally a lot of those costs are going to be brought back to business owners, and business owners in turn are going to increase the amount of money that it takes to buy their services or buy their products. So when Elon says that, I'm inclined to believe him. But I guess what my bigger question would be is, what's the solution and what's the long-term implication? If he's talking about temporary hardship, how would he define temporary? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Is it going to result in higher costs on a day-to-day basis for people in the country? Is it going to result in larger taxes, either on an end-of-year basis or just, again, in terms of everyday transactions? That to me is the larger question that I feel like, if this administration is going to come out of the gates and be ultimately win favorship with a lot of the people in America, they're going to need to have plans in place and action plans to address that. And I don't know if that's something that's been fleshed out. Obviously, it's something that is in the front of mind with someone like Elon, who's a good economic mind. But are they planning contingencies to reduce some of the costs that people would see, or alternatively replace some of the labor force that a lot of business owners are going to lose as a result of mass deportations? That's not something I'm 100% confident.
Who do you replace them with, though? Americans that don't want to do those jobs in the first place, and that's why they need to go out and find this type of labor, though? I mean, like if it was a perfect world, you wouldn't need to go hire migrants, right? Because people like you or me would say, "Hey, I want to go take that factory job, or I want to go." Whatever it is, right? Labor with food or labor. I mean, you'd have those people already, right? But the reason that you don't is because you have to hire other people to do that. And so I get what you're saying. Now with Elon Musk, I have to say though, right? Did you like Twitter before Elon took over, or have you liked it now that he has taken over? Because I used to, I think Twitter used to be a different type of community than it is today. Also, my wife used to work for Tesla, and I know when she would come home and she would talk about her day at Tesla, I don't know if everybody really understands what working for Elon or has, you know what I mean? Like, I think people assume how great it is, but realistically, when you're in the situation and you're understanding, like, here's an example. Tesla, my wife has a lease on a Tesla. Her lease is coming to an end here over the next 2 months, and we have been trying to get a hold of somebody at Tesla to find out what her payoff is on her car. And I can tell you that we have spent 3 weeks. We have made maybe 50 phone calls, and we have held for 10, 12, 15 hours, and we have not been able to get in contact with anybody that can help us. And that is the type of thing that worries me about an Elon type of government, right? Because, anyways, all right, let's just move on. So I worry about this stuff. I think people should be talking about this more, thinking about this more, because, if this stuff does happen the way that it's gamed out to happen and how it's being talked about happening, this is going to be catastrophic for the United States. Now, let's keep going. All right. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm not even talking about that. Okay, let's keep going. All right. So yeah.
But I love it, dude. I didn't know we were talking politics today, but I'm game for it. Let's go.
I do want to make one comment. You asked if I liked Twitter before Elon took over, or if I liked it more after. I've always liked Twitter, but I
Yeah.
definitely feel like it was more politically balanced maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I would say.
Exactly.
But as a function, as a social media platform, I've never not liked Twitter.
Yeah.
There's just always a certain level of toxicity that comes with Twitter, regardless if that's pre-2022 or after.
It's a huge echo chamber now of disinformation, but we won't get into that. Anyways, so anytime a new person is elected or comes into office, they come with these policies. And what you can't always just talk about crypto, right? Because there are forces outside of crypto that are going to things that are going to happen that are going to impact the crypto market. And if we can't understand these outside forces that are going to affect the overall condition and health of the market, I'm not doing my job as somebody that helps people understand what's going on around them, especially in the crypto market, right? And so, yes, these conversations are uncomfortable to have. Yes, these conversations, whether you're on one side or the other, you're either agreeing with somebody or disagreeing with someone, but there's still conversations that we need to have, because these are this is the plan, right? Like, you can go and look up Project 2025. That is their plan of what they plan to do with America over the next 4 years. And if people should have done this before they voted, but now that we have voted and it is Trump, you need to understand what's coming. And so, all right, I'll get off my pedestal. Let's get back into crypto.
I do want to add two very quick things. Actually, it might just be one quick thing. The thing that I respect about Elon Musk is that he just fucking shuts up and does it. And so I'm not saying that necessarily his strategy or the Donald Trump strategy is the right strategy. What I can say is unequivocally something will be very different in 2 years.
Yes.
For the better or for the worse. And the reality is, look at where we are today. Our debt continues to categorically unravel, go through the roof. We continue printing money. Our interest rates are going to suck if we don't do something about it. Obviously, wealth inequality is a hot topic. Unless we do something about something, it's going to continue to be an issue. And so, is it the best plan? No. Is it something to get us going? Absolutely. And we have a case study where crazy things have been done that somehow resulted in the betterment of the general economic condition. Reaganomics did not do anything. Like, it sucked. Reaganomics sucked in the short term, but it ended stagnation. It took us into the dot-com boom and allowed us to shift and recover as a nation. It poked so many holes in the economic conditions at the time that it forced the brightest minds to come up with solutions and think and allow us to think about things differently as a nation. So is it perfect? No one's going to say yes. Is it going to be a lot of trial and error? Absolutely. Is there a potential that it gives us so many unique learnings as a nation that it acts as a catalyst for us to get past some of the issues that we continue to see being in space? Maybe. Chaos theory. We'll see where it goes.
To have the brightest minds, though, to help fix the problems, you need those brightest minds working in the government. And if you are somebody that maybe voted for Kamala, do you think you're going to be allowed to work in the Trump administration, though? That's the problem, right? You're extending populism, right? By saying, you're only going to get this job in the federal government if you voted for me and if you're loyal to me, instead of, are you the best person for this job for the United States? That's the problem with that. So,
and I don't think you're going to get that with either side, to be frank.
Okay. Fair enough. It is some extent. So really quickly, just to recap on the last 20 minutes, there are going to be some hardships ahead. We don't know how big of a hardships that will happen. We don't know if they will follow through on all of their suggestions for the economic future of America, but be prepared for higher inflation, higher interest rates for longer. And after this is all said and done, let's hope on the other side of this thing, we don't need another person to come in and help unfuck the fuckery of the last 4 years. All right. Fair enough.
Well said, brother.
All right. Here we go. All right. Because at that point, Biden's going to be like 95 or something like that. And I don't think he's
I don't know if he's going to be around, dude.
Yeah.
I saw a meme of I saw a meme of somebody who wrote in Joe Biden and said, "You're not retiring yet, motherfucker." And they wrote in for 2024.
My thing is, if you knew he was like that a year ago, right? Like he was not like I didn't expect to see what I saw when he went on the debate. But as soon as I watched that debate, I sent out a tweet saying that Joe Biden is done, right? Like you could not continue after that. But like I don't understand the plan. But we don't need to get into all that. But like that dude should have never been. He should have done the 4 years. He got us out of COVID. He created some policies, right? We're drilling. The thing I never understood is like Trump gets up there and says, "Drill, baby, drill." And like, if you looked at the numbers, the U.S. is drilling more oil than any other country at any other time in history right now, right? We're already drilling at insane levels. And so like, anyways, let's keep going. All right. So Miles Dushisher, sure. I can never say his last name because it's a fucking difficult last name for some reason. He said he says, this is the point in the cycle to keep it simple. And this spoke to me when I played it earlier. So I hope it speaks to you too. Let me play this.
Longing the stuff that is strong on dips and then just holding and not chopping in and out too much. Yes, you can rotate. I made some good rotations, which look really good now on C-Pool and checks, which I'll get into, from Mantra and Ondo, and they're up significantly. So you can make moves like that, but I'm not rotating narrative. I'm staying within the same narrative. So, you could run up on Tau and make 50% on a Tau trade and then rotate into some riskier stuff. And you're staying within AI. You're not going from AI into gaming to chase gaming and then into RWA and then into memes. And then like you have a nice portfolio, it's set. And you're just chilling. You're making some tweaks every now and then. You're going, I went a bit more risk off pre-election. Then I might go a bit more risk on and then might take profits. Like you can do that stuff, but the general fabric of your portfolio stays the same. And if you've been watching my channel for the last 6 months, the fabric of what I'm saying is the exact same. Now the coins might change. I find new stuff. The narratives might change slightly, but they roughly stay the same. But the strategy is the same. We're still in that phase of, longing quality coins on dips, tweaking your portfolio, going more risk on or more risk off, depending on sentiment. If the market's really bearish, going more risk on. If the market is really bullish, going more risk off, take profits. And that's basically like the gist of portfolio construction. But let's talk about the exact coins that I'm focusing on. I still think these will have big upside, by the way. Obviously, as I said, if the market is to do this massive expansion, which I think it will, then there are so many altcoins which are going to perform well. And obviously, the strongest coins are going to continue to lead.
All right, I thought that was a good clip. All right, some tokens that people that we've talked about on this channel time and time again: Rio, Naka. I mean, both of these tokens I think are primed for some good moves. If you're looking in the AI space, there's of course FET and Tau. Render and Trias are also in that kind of in that under AI space. You also have Props and Propsy. I think. Props. What is Props? I thought that was Propy, but it's Props. I think it's another real world asset token. So altcoins probably are going to see some of the biggest moves. I think Bitcoin realistically maybe it'll get to 125 or 150K this cycle. I don't think you're seeing a 200K Bitcoin this cycle. Ben, where do you think Bitcoin tops out? I'd love to know.
I think the 100 to 125K realm is feasible.
Yeah.
I do want to encourage people to continue to remain realistic with what their expectations are. True. I don't see 1 million. I don't see 500,000. Trust me, my bag would love it too. But I think 100 to 125 generally is in alignment with what we see for bull market, conservative bull market gains, looking at the head honcho being BTC. So that's where I would put my money. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, that's where I put my money.
Are you planning to sell all of your Bitcoin and then try to buy back once we have lower prices, or are you just going to hold through for the next, infinity? Like, what is your actual plan?
And I do apologize. I have a legal meeting I got to sneak into here in like 30 seconds, but I do want to top it off for you here, brother. I never try to time the market. That said, I will remove, I talked about my 10-5 rule. I will remove assets as I go, which allows me to have a portfolio that I feel confident with when the time that the market starts to come back. And so if I start to see some continuous bear market days, I'll trim the portfolio back a smidge, but I'm going to always stay in positions. I think that people that try to time, good luck. I mean, there's a lot of technical traders out there, and I wish you the best. It's just, we're busy. I shouldn't say that. I'm busy as fuck. I don't have time to manage my portfolio every day. It's just not feasible.
All right, Ben. Thank you for joining us, man. Really appreciate all your insights. I hope you have a good one,
brother. And I will say this: the beautiful thing about coming on with your show is even if we disagree, we still get some insights out of it, and we can still move forward. Right?
Love that.
So I appreciate you as always for inviting me on. Thank you so much, man.
I did throw you into the hot water too, so I do.
No, that's quite okay. I love the hot water. You should know that by now. I can handle the paralinguistic, brother. I can throw them out.
This is such a good inside joke. If you weren't in the meeting, you probably don't know it. But that was
you and your community, man. Thank you so much.
Man. I love it, man. Hey, we do have the paralinguistics guy in the chat actually, so he was there too.
Oh man!
All right. Let's keep it going, guys. Let's a little bit more here. So, Dog, I know some people are trading, ordinals, and they like the whole realm of what's happening with Bitcoin. And so, Dog is probably one of the tokens that I've seen people post the most about on Twitter. And I just wanted to put it in front of you if you are in this area of the crypto asset class. And it comes to Dog. Go to the moon is the token I've seen posted the most. The ticker is Dog. This says bought up another bag of Dog, stack 150K of the Dog on Bitcoin bags are packed, and I just keep cramming in more. So if you're trading that, good luck. And here's some kind of like the histories and origins of the Dog token on Runes. If you want to take a look at this, just go up and look up Leonidas NFT, and he actually has this whole thing laid out for you. I'm not going to read it all out to you. I don't want to bore you too much, but that is there. I did want to bring this up too, because I doing a Sensei chat. I love my XRP stuff.
Got to talk about XRP. Yeah.
Got to have some XRP stuff in. And so this is the latest interview with Brad Garlinghouse and the BBC. So you probably haven't seen this, but this is I think this happened earlier today. Let's rock and roll. Let's play it. Let's get it.
And one of the biggest winners from Donald Trump's re-election to the White House has been the crypto world. Bitcoin, for example, hit record highs this week by passing that $76,000 mark for the first time. Another token seeing big gains over the past few days is XRP, which has been developed by the digital payment network Ripple. It's currently valued at around $11 billion and is trying to go mainstream by launching its own ETF. However, it's currently involved in a long-standing case with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is blocking the launch. For more on all this, we're now joined by the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. So welcome, Brad. Let's start with that tweet that you have sent on a crypto checklist to Donald Trump for his first 100 days, including firing SEC Chair Gary Gensler. What are the main things that you want him to address?
Well, as you probably know, Donald Trump has been kind of a crypto advocate and the crypto president by his self-proclamation around that for a number of months during the campaign. And he has actually said that one of the first things he would do in office is to do everything he can do to remove Gary Gensler, who has really waged a war against crypto in the United States. The irony, of course, is many countries around the world, even the UK, Switzerland, Singapore, have really leaned into crypto, created clear rules, which has allowed entrepreneurs and capital to flow in and allow the industry to grow and thrive.
But while Trump is seen as favorable for crypto leaders and investors, does his recent alignment with crypto actually pose some ethical concerns? I mean, he's launched the cryptocurrency project World Liberty Financial. Is this a potential conflict of interest now that he has a stake in the industry, Brad?
You know, I think obviously Donald Trump has stakes in lots of industries, and I think the voters decided that they preferred Donald Trump as opposed to other candidates throughout the process. So I don't really take a position on that. I think there's obviously a lot of disclosure laws, and I think as his second trip to the White House, I'm sure there's plenty of people around him that are experienced with that. I do think, regardless of his own participation in different parts of the economy, we've got to get the United States growing in as it relates to this industry. And the Biden administration, really not just the United States SEC, but other parts of the government as well, been pretty hostile towards crypto, despite its growth, despite that it's over a $2 trillion market today.
And with a Donald Trump win, are you expecting a resolution in this Ripple versus SEC lawsuit? I mean, this was surrounding whether XRP is considered a security or a digital currency. And what do you think a resolution would mean for the broader crypto industry?
She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Look, as you probably know, we've been fighting with the SEC for 3.5 years. We won that case last summer. The SEC, the judge in that case declared very explicitly, XRP in and of itself is not a security. The SEC is appealing part of that decision, but importantly, they're not appealing the part of the decision that says XRP is not a security. So we feel very good about that. The law of the land of the United States is that XRP is not a security. What's frustrating, I think, for the whole industry is that only Bitcoin and XRP really have the explicit regulatory clarity in the United States. Other leading cryptocurrencies like ETH and Solana have been a little bit in a fuzzy land. And it's really kind of maddening, and I think madness, to think we're going to litigate every single token one by one. We've been challenging the government, challenging the SEC to create clear rules of the road, as you've seen in the UK, as you've seen in Japan, where they've created taxonomies so that the regulation is clear. And people in the US crypto industry want to follow the rules. We just have to have clarity about what the rules are.
And Brad, talk to us more about clarity that you need in regulation. What more in particular would you like to see?
I think the key thing is the SEC under Gary Gensler has tried to take the position that most cryptocurrencies are securities. Securities, as I think many people know, the law is about rights and title and ownership of a company. If you own a security in Apple, you own part of the company. You have governance rights. You can vote on the board of directors. That obviously doesn't exist. If you own XRP, if you own ETH, if you own different cryptocurrencies, you're not getting the rights and title and interest of a security. So the key really is creating that clarity that the SEC is not the regulator that's trying to kind of own this industry. And they've really been trying to do regulation through enforcement rather than codifying and taking the time to write clear rules of the road.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Brad Garlinghouse, the Ripple CEO.
Beautiful. All right. Let's come back. I had a few other things. What did you think about that, Ryan? I mean, it still doesn't feel like people understand that XRP is not a security, and like that's not being challenged anymore. It still seems like people are kind of clueless, or they don't care. What do you think it is?
To a certain extent, I do think there's a little bit of ignorance in that fact.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because we like to chat about XRP a lot. We like to research it. So for us, that's one of the most important, factors in a lot of our research is the understanding that XRP in and of itself as a token is not a security. But for people outside of the XRP ecosystem and the XRP kind of echo chamber, they focus more on Solana, maybe they focus more on Ethereum. And for them, simply because they haven't had as much, legal exposure, maybe with the SEC, maybe with different, regulation by enforcement kind of tactics, is security clearance on, their own native tokens, because it's not at the forefront of their mind. They don't necessarily pay as much mind to the implications that might have for Bitcoin and XRP. So in part, I do think it's a little bit of ignorance on some people's minds, maybe just not knowing, or maybe just not caring, because it's not something that directly, or that they think directly impacts them, when the reality is, if XRP was to have been declared a security in and of itself as a token, that would have, for lack of a better term, ripple effects into the rest of the crypto ecosystem too. And that more and more projects like Ethereum, like Solana, like Polkadot, that the SEC may have gone forward with additional lawsuits against those projects as well, because they knew that they could win with that legal precedent. So it's definitely an interesting thing to see, people in mainstream media and, these large outlets not quite grasping that concept and the impact that can have on an ecosystem like Ripple, like XRP, because there are a lot of implications around fundraising abilities, around governance rights, and what is the actual entitlement of someone who owns a token, if any. So I do think it's kind of interesting to see that there's a lot of that there's a pretty significant lack of education when it comes to certain news outlets around what those actual implications are.
You know what's interesting? If I ever thought there was an administration that maybe would allow XRP to really kind of take over the financial system, I would think it would probably be the Trump administration over some type of Democratic administration. The reason why is I've seen several clips now with people talking with Trump's sons about XRP, and I think the XRP. I've seen a lot of XRP fans and XRP, influencers around Trump. And so when I see this, it makes me wonder if something could happen with XRP in the US government and Ripple. Let me play this.
Also got coins like XRP that are working to change the banking system. XRP is a coin that, what they're trying to do is make it to where they can do international cross-border payments much faster. So Bitcoin and XRP are both what we know as networks of value. So SWIFT system that runs the banking system right now, the international transfers, cross-border payments, it's a network of information. So when something is happening on the SWIFT system, somebody's got to come in on the back end and do all the work.
Yeah.
Well,
so if you're dealing with time differences and everything else,
100%.
like you would in an international transaction, that creates the headache.
What crazy,
or the time lag, really.
Well, it's 5 to 7 days is how long it takes for these things to actually settle. With XRP, it settles in 30 seconds because it's a network of value.
All right. If you don't know, this is actually Trump's son. I think is it Don? Don Jr.?
I think it's Don Jr. Yeah.
Don Jr. I think he's probably the one that Trump will listen to the most over Eric. I don't think Trump likes Eric very much. But anyways, this is BitBoy Crypto. I think if you've been in crypto a while, you've heard of him. He had a very interesting it was kind of like a roller coaster ride. He was like one of the biggest influencers around in like the 21 bull market, and then he had some problems with his wife. Just to catch you up on this, he had some problems with his wife.
Big fan of his boxing career.
Yeah, yeah. He wanted to be a boxer. I think he was. It looked to me like he was on some type of steroids or something, because he had these moments where he lashed out very aggressively, and then he found himself. I guess some people at his company decided that it would be a better company without him. He got ousted from the company that he helped build. And then he lost a lot of his personal belongings, like his Lamborghini and a few other things. And then he was there was like this whole thing where he showed up to the guy that one of the people that had his Lamborghini. He showed up to his house with a gun, and it was live streamed. It was insane. But I think Ben is on the mend, and he's trying to do good things in the crypto market. So I just want to he's gone through a lot, and so it's good to see Trump's family interacting with people that are bullish on XRP, and it maybe something can happen down the line. That would be really cool. But also, looks like there was an order rejoint motion for entry into final judgment and stay. This is November 4th, 2024. It looks like the judges are asking Ripple and the SEC to before making a decision on the parties' motion, the court would like the parties to consider an alternative resolution of filing a voluntary dismissal without prejudice of remaining individual claim, subject to refiled after resolution of the appeal on this class for claims. So I guess they're asking them to see if they can't work this shit out before they go forward with their motion. So
I don't think this is the case against the SEC, right? I think this is a separate class action.
Is it the
class action? Yeah, with those two retail investors that tried to sue.
Got it.
Yeah, I think it's a different thing, but ultimately the resolution makes sense. Is try to work towards a settlement as opposed to actually fleshing it out in court, because it's literally two different retail investors that bought XRP, lost a little bit of money, sold it, and now want to sue Ripple. No, that resolution makes sense.
That's still going on.
Yeah, it's been 6 years,
bro.
Like it's actually been 6 years. It's crazy, but because it got that class status, that's been able to carry on much longer.
Crazy. And I thought this was funny just to end the chat. Yeah, Cardano price is catching up to XRP. Quick, Gary, do something, right? And so I don't know, man. You got to have a little fun at the end of this. But Ryan, appreciate you joining, and I just want to give you some final thoughts on the crypto market, and where is there anything else that you would like to share or talk about before we come to an end today?
Yeah, I guess the last thing that I'll share, and it kind of echoes some of my sentiments that I was sharing earlier about, cautious optimism perhaps, is, and one thing to remember kind of going to the video that you just played now with BitBoy and with Donald Trump Jr., is that a lot of XRP and a lot of Ripple's exposure within the government has come as a result of this SEC lawsuit that now is finally starting to reach its conclusion, reach its end. Obviously, with XRP not being declared a security in and of itself, it is more of a commodity. But one thing to remember, and this is where the cautious optimism comes into play, is that a lot of people look at Gary Gensler and they say, we want you out of office. And don't get me wrong, I think rightfully so. But there's oftentimes a little bit of revisionism, and people forget the administration that actually sued Ripple in the first place was the previous Trump administration. It was William Hinman. It was Jay Clayton. So listen, and that's not to say that that kind of activity at the SEC is going to continue, but it leads me to believe that people should be cautiously optimistic about what that future within the SEC generally looks like. Yeah. But if Eleanor Tourette's tweet earlier today has any kind of implication that the person who would be taking over is going to be somebody who is definitely pro crypto, then that optimism for me definitely increases. So I'm very curious to see who ends up taking up that mantle. I've seen a few people's names thrown around. I think I've seen Brian Brooks's name more than anybody as a potential candidate. Giancarlo, absolutely. I think those two would be fantastic in that role. Brian Brooks, especially. I've always been a fan of his.
Me too.
So I'm actually very optimistic in the sense of the SEC's approach and kind of what the changes that might take place in there over the course of the next 6 months. It's been a custom of previous SEC chairmen to resign if a new president takes office. That's ultimately what ended up happening with Jay Clayton in the past. So they might not get to see that, Trump putting his foot in Gary Gensler's ass and kicking him out of the door. They might not be able to see that. He might just resign on his own. Who knows? But that leads me to believe that, with the SEC, I think that you'll start to see a lot less of a stranglehold over the crypto industry and a lot more optimism as far as the regulation approach moving forwards. And that obviously bodes well, not just for Ripple, but for the general crypto market. So again, cautious optimism, but I think given some of the early indications that we'll start to see a lot more of a clear road ahead when it comes to legal and when it comes to regulations.
Man, I hope you're right. I did see Jay Clayton's name being thrown out there, and I was like, no way, bro.
As soon as he left the SEC, he started talking positively about crypto.
Yeah,
so a lot of people
Apollo,
were like,
that's why.
Yeah, they're like, wait, hold on. You now have a vested interest, and you're making sense.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, why the hell did you sue Ripple in the first place if that's what you believe? But no, I've seen his name thrown around more as a meme than anything. But like I said, I'm a big Brian Brooks fan, so I'm kind of hoping that his name is at least in the hat for the next year.
Yeah, if people don't know who Brian Brooks is, let me just show you really quickly. He was the former controller, comp controller of currency, right? The CCC. That was his former job in the old Trump administration.
Yes, and he was a previous, I think, chief legal officer for Coinbase and a previous CEO of Binance US. I think the term there was kind of short because of some of the regulatory and legal issues that Binance was having at the time. But no, he's been all over the place in government and in the crypto industry in very high places.
This is Brian Brooks. Yep. This is Brian Brooks. This is the person that I would want at the SEC. And I mean, if we can get Brian Brooks involved somehow, either with the CFTC or the SEC, I think the Trump administration is already making good moves. So we'll see if he wants to come back and do that. All right, man. Anything else you wanted to talk about? We good?
No, I think that's it for me. Again, I really do appreciate your time. Appreciate you having me on. And to everybody who's listening, hope you guys learned at least one or two things from Ben and I's rambling today. But yeah, happy to be here. Hopefully we get to do it again soon.
All right, Ryan. I'll see you, brother. I'm just gonna answer some questions and stick around for a few more minutes. But you have a wonderful day. Have a good weekend. Thank you for your time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sensei. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
All right. All right, my beautiful friends. Anybody have any questions, comments, anything they want to say I figured we'll spend a little time, answer any questions if you guys have it. There's still 95 of you hanging out, so I figure some of you might have something, or if you just have us in the car as you're driving or something. Anything at all? Going once. Let me see if there's any comments here. Bang, bang, boom. Y'all, all-time high incoming for Bitcoin. Yep, Bitcoin's rolling, man. Bitcoin is rolling. Ethereum is rolling too, which is nice. How about invading other countries? Well, technically the US hasn't invaded any other countries, technically, right? I mean, we don't have boots on the ground in the Ukraine war, right? We don't have boots in the ground with the Israel war. So I don't understand when people say that the US won't be in any wars. Yes, we are helping to supply ammunitions to our partners, but that's another conversation. AVAX almost hit $30. That's good. Anything on higher? I think they're buying higher as it goes, and I think they're just getting hammered by people selling it, right, as they're buying into it. And so, I haven't sold any tokens yet. I know that they've had some partnership stuff come out. Let me pull up the chat. Give me a second. I know, man. I've been hitting them up. Okay, so last time I talked to them was about 3 days ago. Just happened when it happens. I mean, as far as regular marketing, he says, like the dumb crypto stuff that we do, paid DEX tools, boosted token on DEX screener, paid the 5K for CoinMarketCap. This is not really helpful. Tons of dumb giveaways and promos for X, Arena, Telegram, Discord. People just want meme coins. That's true. Holders, they did an airdrop recently, but I think they've made some new partnerships. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get to the answer. Oh, they locked in a partnership with Steam Gaming for merchandise. So I don't know what that's going to bring. They were talking about more LPs being added. I mean, I told them they needed to spend money on marketing. I mean, I've said that until I blew in the face, but I'll keep hitting them up. Brian is actually in Africa. I texted him yesterday. Let me tell you what he said. Brian said, "Hey Robert, hope you're enjoying the weekend." Well, I guess it was weekend time in Africa by then. He says, "Yes, everything is going incredibly. Just getting ready to head to Cape Town to do the Africa conference and the blockchain conference. We've got a lot of meetings set up, getting insurance for the phone and signing contracts for retail repair facilities." He says the distribution company and signing a couple of contracts on this trip. The phone should arrive there by the end of the month or within the first day of December. So that's good, right? They're waiting to get phones in the hands of retail stores to see, how popular the phone will be. So we're still holding it a little bit here, but at least the first initial tranche of phones will be arriving the first week of December, it sounds like. So that's good to know. I don't think I qualified for the higher airdrop. All you had to do is keep the tokens in your wallet. I don't know how you wouldn't qualify for it. Why wouldn't you qualify for it? William, you can always call me too, man. I can tell you, talk to you on the phone or something. We're supposed to go to dinner this weekend, right? Let me know if you have time. Top 30 holders, right? Was it only top 30? I didn't know that. I thought it was open to everybody. Let me see. Hold on. Dex tools. I can't use Dex screener for some reason. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Excuse my French. Higher. Hold on. Higher. Oh, wait. That's on Solana. I just told them that they need to do is take a chunk of that money and go and start working with influencers, man. Like, you need to get your shit together. They need to get their shit together, man. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up the address. AVAX scan. 1 second. Pulling this up now, guys. Snow trace. Holders. Yeah, look, this is my wallet. I don't use too much anymore, but this is the wallet I have the tokens in. That's my wallet. That's the wallet. Man, I really wish this would do fucking better numbers. I mean, $1 million market cap, I would have like 100 grand. 10 million, I'd have $1 million. I mean, like, I'm still hoping these guys are gonna get their shit together. 2,600 holders, but top 30, that would put you. So, well, this is LP, right? So anyone above 3 billion tokens, I guess it's about $1,000 would have got it if there was top 30. Storage chain and twin partnerships. What about storage chain and twin partnerships? What they partnered together, right? Like, it sounds like that's what storage chain's been working on. I mean, they still need to start having their customers pay and then them try to cycle some money back into liquidity for the token. They need to pay for marketing. They're trying to raise money right now. So we're waiting for that stuff to happen. I don't think I qualified for the higher job. Top 30s can't. Wife got sick. Oh, good, man. Next weekend then. What was the airdrop? I have no idea. I have no idea what the airdrop was. I just know there was a snapshot like last week. Was it last week? Let me find out some information about the higher. So what is up with this airdrop? Airdrop. Who qualified for it? And when will people get rewards? Hold on 1 second. All right. I will work on that. What else? So we got hire. So Tuesday, I'll come back with more information on hire. I'll check in with storage chain. I'll check in with twin. I'll get some more details for you guys. We'll come back on Tuesday and we'll talk about it. And I'll talk to Brian this weekend too to get some more juicy stuff for what's it called? Absolutely. Oh, I'm on it. Anything else that you guys need? Again, I can. If there's anything else you guys need, let me know. Send me a DM on Discord or send me a DM on Twitter. But if you need something, I can try to work on it this weekend. My wife's got a three day weekend, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I'm gonna take a little time off this weekend, spend some time with her. But if you need anything, just reach out to me and I'll try to get you an answer. Okay. All right, y'all. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for being here. Aloha.